Whether it's entire areas and levels, hidden or maybe not so hidden gameplay mechanics, us gamers tend to miss an awful lot of vital info. Now, let me be clear, this isn't the developer's fault. These entries aren't to be taken as complaints and a shoddy gameplay design. No, far from it. It's just that despite the game designer's best efforts, we simply miss what we're supposed to be doing. Either we don't understand, or perhaps it's because we skipped the tutorial. Either way, these are 14 entries where gamers have persevered, blissfully unaware they've missed something important. Resident Evil 180-degree quick turn. The quick turn has been a staple maneuver since the 90s, likely developed as an easy method to swiftly evade the hulking nemesis in the more action-oriented, but still tank-controlled Resident Evil 3. Why is it then that some players have no idea that it exists? Resident Evil 7's Ethan Winters rotates like an oil tanker. The 180 quick turn is so integral to survival, it's the only way to successfully nope out of a threatening situation, which of course are all the time. Not using Dark Souls target lock-on. Imagine both dodge rolling and manually keeping up the game's camera focused on your opponent. Yep, that's precisely what some players lumber through on the already infuriatingly difficult Dark Souls. Now, I'm not saying that the target lock-on mechanic is essential in every combat situation, but any shred of help that you'll see through Lordran must be utilized given the right opportunity, surely. Waiting for in-game clock to progress story. A well-implemented in-game clock is great to strengthen player immersion into the game's world. The original Shinmu, released in 1999, pioneered a semi-open world, and its immersive clock was fairly unique at the time. The dumb aspect for players, though, is how easy it is to lose track of time. If you've never played Shinmu, you might not realize you'll need to navigate the game's central character, Ryu, to a certain point at a certain time of day to progress the story. For instance, hitting the travel agent at 4 PM triggers a cutscene. Miss the time, then you're hanging around for another 24 hours. Thankfully, Shinmu 2's quality of life ability to fast forward time carried over to the 2018 re-release, meaning less time in the Dobuita street parking lot practicing your martial arts. Miss a level. There's a range of games where levels or entire areas are completely missable, either by design or through player choice. Bloodborne has tons of cool boss fights and hidden areas. Part of the fun is in the game's exploration and discovery. Of course, skipping the entire level means missing out on secret weapons, items, and pickups. Well, all the action, basically. It's dumb because despite the vital weapons waiting to be found, skipping the whole thing is just too tempting. Miss the entire game. Yes, it is impossible to finish a game without, well, completing it. Gone Home, while brilliant, is entirely missable. The game is a beautifully engrossing story praised for its focus on social and politics, and one of the first walking simulator games before walking simulator games even existed. It's also possible to skip the entire story arc and head straight for the credits. Sure, this is by design. There's even an achievement for completing the game in under a minute after all, but there must be some players out there who've missed vital elements of the story by accidentally finding the keys to the attic, and the end of the game too soon. Easy to miss collectibles in RPGs. Well, missable items in RPGs could be a list article all on its own, they're so commonplace. Each Final Fantasy entry has wiki pages dedicated to them. Final Fantasy VII has a raft of permanently missable items, weapons, side quests, materia, clothing. It's a completionist's worst nightmare. Take Cloud's cross-dressing side quest early on in Final Fantasy VII. There's a huge list of missable items floating around the web, but the worst thing is that it is impossible to retrieve everything on a single playthrough. Save for save scumming, more on that later, you'll need to navigate Cloud around Wall Market several times to locate all the tiaras, deodorants, and stuff. Being confused by leveling up systems. Straight back into Final Fantasy with this entry, and it's the junction system in Final Fantasy VIII. Essentially, a system whereby collected magic can be assigned to different attributes. You junction their magic via guardian forces, who are also missable, by the way. The system is notoriously confusing for many FF players, and there's even an explain it like I'm 5 thread, which still leaves me perplexed. Tragically, the internet is littered with players admitted to never fully taking the time to understand the intricacies of the junction system, only to make it to the final boss, Ultimecia, woefully underpowered and past the point of no return. Shortcuts in racing games. I've never owned Mario Kart 8. I've spent many an hour playing on friends' consoles though, and let me tell you, they almost always have no idea shortcuts exist. They wonder how I can be so good when I don't own a Switch myself. In truth, I'm decent, but I understand that luck plays a big part in Mario Kart 8, and that success often comes with tipping the odds in your favor. That's why I use the shortcuts. Same with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, same with Wipeout Omega Collection. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but amongst my friends at least, staggeringly, they don't realize these shortcuts exist, and I'm not about to tell them. Ignoring collectibles. Ignoring collectibles appears to be prime advice for those looking to 100% big budget story driven juggernauts like Control or The Last of Us. Whether these types of games offer enough replayability is another debate, but what I can't get my head around is the advice to skip collectibles to focus on completing the story. Save collectibles for the second or third playthrough, they say. Well, do that and you're wasting the opportunity to learn the game's lore and backstory, to develop its characters, to fully flesh out the world. Need I say more? Not realizing you can sprint. Yeah, it must be a joke, this one, surely. There are players out there who didn't realize there's a sprint button. On Skyrim, no less. I kid you not. Yes, this bears repeating. There are players out there who traversed the gargantuan game maps of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim without ever running. It'll take a normal player who can run, on average, around 33 hours to complete just the main story. I keep dwelling on comments left by one player who states they completed the entire game and were halfway through their second playthrough before they discovered the sprint button, watching credits to get achievements. I confess to never watching the game credits. Sorry, developers. I do like an easy trophy though, so oftentimes I'll browse through the achievement list whilst playing through a game, seeing which ones are easy picking for my collection. One particular achievement stood out to me when playing What Remains of Edith Finch, the Thanks Johan trophy. Simply watch the end credits and boom, silver trophy. No one watches credits otherwise, right? Rescuing NPCs. In the Mega Man X series, rescuing specific NPCs called Reploids are vital to acquiring certain power-ups. These Reploids are injured, and saving them oftentimes gives you an extra life, or energy, or weapon extension, etc. Problem is, they die so quickly, or get infected by the Nightmare virus, and start attacking you instead, forcing you to kill them and forever losing the power-up. I mean, once they're dead, they're dead. Sadly, like so many NPCs in so many other games, these Reploids are destined to be largely ignored. Forgetting to save scum for achievements. A friend of mine, a completionist who likes to get a lot of trophies, told me about their time playing Fallout 3, and the 3 playthroughs they resorted to as their solution to acquiring all 3 karma trophies. See, you have trophies for good, evil, and neutral karma once you reach level 30. That burning desire for all 3 trophies was a flame that couldn't be fanned, and thus 3 separate playthroughs were apparently the only way. What they didn't realize was that they should have saved at level 29 before using one of the 3 available karma perks, one for each karma status. Dummy. Not paying attention in tutorials. Yeah, sometimes we're so eager to get going with our bright, shiny new game that we'll elect to skip the tutorial. But there be no better way to learn than by doing. Well, if you've done this with Red Dead Redemption, chances are you've missed the Deadeye combat mechanic, whereby you slow down time to take aim at multiple foes. To be honest though, you can still get some pretty wild gunplay without using Deadeye. It's not as integral as, say, VATS in Fallout 3. And yes, we're back on Fallout 3, but it's not my mate this time. VATS, or Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System, is like buttering bread for seasoned Fallout players. It's so integral to the game's combat, offering masterful ability to slow-mo target specific body parts in cinematic, flesh-ripping glory. How players have come to miss this system when it's literally right there in front of them in the unskippable tutorial is beyond me. And that brings us to the end of this video. A quick request before we conclude: we upload new videos every single day, and if you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. Also, don't forget to enable all your notifications by clicking the bell icon so that you can receive daily video updates. Thanks for watching.